Hello, listener. This is Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two long-distance best friends recap romance novels to stay connected, remain immersed in the wonder of the genre, and then go on giggly tangents and make dick jokes. We have a very special shout-out this week. Carrie B. Leo, Aaron, and I want to wish you the happiest, most fruitful birthday. We're in awe of your courage to quit a job you weren't passionate about and pursue your green thumb professionally. I, for one, hope a job comes along where you can actually just sniff dirt for a living. Unless you finally get your own farm, because that's where you're meant to be. Until then, keep sewing, making your own tea blends, reading romance with strong women, and letting all of the pedestrians on your commute hear us cackling maniacally. You're a woman after my own heart because I also look at my partner and say, "You chose this," when I get up to hijinks. Kindred spirits, I'd say. So, happy birthday to the most beautiful pumpkin in the pumpkin patch. And now we've got Holiday by Candlelight by Laurel Greer. Here we go. Oh, hey, Erin.
Oh, hi. Fancy seeing you here.
Oh,
hello.
Hello.
That's how that sounded.
Guess what came yesterday in my mails?
What came?
Yeah. Guess what I
came?
received yesterday in the mails.
Oh, I understand now. Yes, I'm sorry. What did you?
I was talking about an orgasm, you weirdo.
When Melody says, "Guess what came?" I don't know.
Come on, man.
Are you saying that we would never have a conversation where you say, "Guess what came?" and I say, "What, Melody?" and you say, "Me." Are you saying that is an impossible situation?
How dare you? Of course it's not.
I'm sorry, what did you receive non-sexually?
Well, I got a little ring light in the mail. Ring light in the mail.
Oh my god, you guys. Wait, are you using it now?
I am not using it now.
Okay, I was going to say, if you're using it now, it's not great because it is exactly the same. You look radiant and beautiful.
Thank you.
Like such a ring glow.
But
light.
I could look better.
But it's the exact same lighting.
After my ring light is on.
You guys, we started videotaping our Patreon episodes, and what we learned immediately
is that we're living in the past, you guys.
We are. No, I was gonna say. We are DEFCON most extreme narcissists.
Oh, we are so vain, you guys. We're so vain. First of all, both of us, without talking to each other, showed up in makeup for a recording session.
Oh, hello.
Oh. I just stumbled in here and
look like this.
Oh, I'm so beautiful.
Uh-huh.
And we were fighting with our lighting because, like, people just know lighting now and we don't.
Okay, so, I have this desktop screen that's the size of the sun that I operate off of when we do. And behind it is a window, which is usually has a beautiful wintry Alaskan mountain scene behind it. However, when it's dark,
oh yeah,
the only thing that illuminates me is the screen of this computer, and then I've got this light from Target that I stuffed in the office because David didn't like it on his nightstand because it's kind of broken, and so I'm trying to like angle this thing to not like face directly at me.
That's exactly what I have. I have like,
but
a
also I can't bounce it off the window either. Like the light just goes out, and I can't bounce it off my blackout curtains either. So I look like a ghoul on that video.
A very beautiful lipsticked ghoul, if anything.
Thank you. And then also I tried to fashion bangs halfway through the episode because I realized that I have a problem
You don't have a problem. Your forehead is perfect.
I asked David after the recording if I had a 5 head, and he said it was like a 4.5 head, if anything. So I made an appointment to get bangs.
Did you? You did not.
It's on like December something. But I don't know if the hair salons will be open then because we're doing another lockdown. I don't know what the hair salon situation is. But if I can't go to the hair salon to get bangs from my hair
Don't cut
lady,
your own bangs. Don't do it, Aaron.
My own bangs? Do you know how I looked you saw it? It was so
beautiful.
Much foreheads.
You looked like Aaron. I love how Aaron looked.
That's the worst thing you could say.
No!
Is that I look like that always.
No!
With such a head.
Gosh.
Listen,
and then you.
And I even texted you a picture the last time I had bangs, and it was rough.
I
thought you saw that.
I thought you were cute. I think it'll be better now that you have eyebrows, honestly.
You bitch.
Sorry. What? You come here for honest repartee.
Is that what I come here for? I mean, that's what
Apparently
listener
not.
comes here for. But I do not. I come here for compliments and lies. And I also ordered a ring light. It's on its way. It's not a ring light. It's a loom cube.
What is a loom cube? Did you get something better than I did?
Even tanner and thinner and more beautiful.
God damn it.
And my cheeks are going to be so rosy and full of life.
You had an inside scoop on a thing that's better than a ring light, and Aaron didn't text Melody?
I just Googled what is best ring light, and it told me.
I'm fucking pissed.
Melody, why would I tell you? Your lighting is fine. Look at yourself.
No, I could always be better.
Well, I didn't even conceive of such a thing.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What a great pal. Well, regardless, you guys, we're doing, if you want to see our stupid faces.
And Rooster's vagina.
And Rooster's whole vagina.
She also ordered a small, teeny tiny little ring light to hold up to her.
So we can
dog
see
business.
that snatch. Ooh, boy.
You know what? I was going to say her dog snatch. And I was like, no, Aaron, that's too raunchy for even this podcast.
Never. Yeah, so we're now doing our Patreon as videos, and we also release the audio for people that like to listen while they drive or whatever. And yeah, it's super fun. And now I have to wear makeup all the time when we record. So I
think this is going to be helpful for me to have to wear makeup once on the weekend.
Actually, I do too. Yeah.
Happy Hanukkah, Melody.
Okay, Aaron.
I'm sorry.
We were duped. We have to tell the listener we were duped.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. This cover has a menorah with many candles lit, and then 2 people, an auburn-haired lady, and a bespectacled Asian dude lighting.
He's also bespectable.
He's also bespectable, yeah, very.
Yeah.
Lighting the final candle. And so we thought it was a Hanukkah Times book, and we were really excited to do a Hanukkah Times book for everybody because we don't think that any holiday should be ignored. But I cannot say that this is a Hanukkah book. We got a message that said it's a sneaky Christmas book, but I would argue that it's not even a Christmas Times book.
We got a message that said that?
It was forever ago. It was like when we first did the reading list. I cannot remember who it was from, and I feel bad about that.
We were already drowning in messages about pestilence, so I probably didn't even see it.
Correct. So it's not even a Christmas Times book. I would go as far as to say this book occurs in December. Mostly, it is a skiing times book.
It is, if you celebrate avalanches
and PTSDs, if that is your favorite December holiday, then we have a book for you.
We have a book for you. He's also half Japanese that is mentioned. Dr. What's his last name?
Matsuda.
Matsuda is half Japanese. It's mentioned early in the book and then never again.
Never again. Never again. So first of all, I didn't really even look at the cover because I rarely look at covers when it's just like a book we're going to do for the podcast. But the cover should be 2 people skiing, first of all, maybe like a hand coming out of an avalanche.
There should be one person skiing and then another person being like, no.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
No.
Please stop.
So I didn't really see the cover. And then I saw like the very first line of this thing is Caleb Metsuda wiped his boots on the mat inside the door of the coffee shop. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So immediately, because I was like, wait, this is a Hanukkah Times book. And I swear that the hero was the one who was Jewish. And so literally, chapter 1, I'm on Google being like, Matsuda, Jewish name? Question mark?
Sure.
And we find out in like chapter 3 or something that his mother is Jewish and his father is Japanese. We get a teeny tiny bit of conversation about like meals that his mom cooks for Hanukkah. But other than that, there's nothing.
It's mostly her just walking on eggshells around the fact that he's Jewish, as if it's some kind of like liability or so. Like if it's some
or like
kind
landmine,
of
yeah,
landmine. That's what I'm looking for. Like something she doesn't want to like do the wrong thing. He's Jewish, which is kind of gross, honestly.
Well, I mean, I didn't mind that because I liked the fact that she wasn't just ignoring a big part of his heritage.
That's accurate.
But I will say that it mattered not at all to him because he's not observant. And it's mostly just like, I don't want to say a social thing, but his mom gets the family together for Hanukkah and other Jewish events, Jewish holidays. You know, she does that like, I think like maybe for tradition's sake, but they don't seem very active in the Jewish faith or the temple or anything like that. And so I don't know. And his father is literally never mentioned. I don't know if his father is living.
Right.
We talked to the mom and the brother. He never talks about the fact that he's half Asian other than to do a weird comment about like, I don't know. What does she say? She says something like, oh, you must be into, and he's like, oh, because I'm half Japanese. And that's literally the only time we found out about it.
What is that?
I'm going to Google Japanese and see what happens.
I know I highlighted it. I know what you're talking about. While you're doing that, I just want to say, we have attempted, now this is year 3, to do a book for Hanukkah. The first year, we did Knit One, Girl Two, which is a beautiful book about 2 Jewish women falling in love. It just turned out to be a lot more Florida. That like it didn't have Hanukkah in it at all.
Right.
And then it was extremely short and there was no conflict in it. And it was just great. Like it was just wonderful. It was just like
lovely.
eating a piece of chocolate.
Yeah.
And it turned out that we were neither interesting nor funny when talking about it. Because we were just like, just read book. It was great. But I did learn a lot of things about the Jewish faith reading that book. Like, that's a great book to read if you're interested in reading about a couple of Jewish main characters. However, not a Hanukkah book. So we didn't put it out for Hanukkah. That episode's on our Patreon. That not funny, not very interesting episode is on Patreon if you want to go listen to it.
Yeah.
It was like the 2nd or 3rd episode we ever recorded. And then I tried to do, I think it was called Burning Bright, which was a Hanukkah anthology that everybody was saying was great last year or the year before. We tried to do it this year and it just didn't exist anymore. We also did One Hot December for Hanukkah where the hero was Jewish. And there was a lot of like Hanukkah stuff in it. But that's another kind of like sneaky Christmas book because they kind of celebrate both. Like, I just want to read a book that's just about Hanukkah and like not other holidays. Like, don't sneak other, which I'm not. Hey, Tiffany Rice, we love you.
Tiffany Rice, listen, we bow down at your altar.
We just wish there was a whole Hanukkah book out there.
Right. That's all we're asking.
Not out
That's
there.
all we're saying.
Because Burning Bright's gone now. And so I Googled the shit out of Hanukkah romance books. And there's a couple out there that didn't seem like they were our speed. This was hailed as like, Harlequin finally publishes a Hanukkah book.
Yeah.
Like there were articles written about this book. Finally. A breath of fresh air. Harlequin acknowledges that Jewish people exist. What a triumph.
Oh.
So I really thought we were like, we got it this time.
We were going to nail it? We were going to nail it for Hanukkah? No, we didn't nail it, you guys.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay, so let's get into it. I mean, I liked book, Erin.
I liked book fine. Here's something.
Okay, what? Do you have to tell the listener something, Erin? Is there something Erin needs to tell listener?
I only read the first half of book. Listen, this will stop happening. I promise. We're just in a dark, bad time.
It's a lot right now.
Yeah, after our holiday times, Christmas Yule hiatus, we will start reading all of book. We really do promise.
Yes. We're trying our best at the moment.
Yeah. I can, with a straight face, say I read most of book. I read enough of book to get gist of book.
Totally. Yep. You definitely
53% is most of book, you bitch. I saw your face, and that's most. I took 50% math.
50% is
53%.
Oh, that is most.
Math.
I am so sorry.
Math times. Mm-hmm.
You're a math, Erin.
Yeah.
I should not even come at you like that.
In fact, if you round up to 100, I read book.
That's true.
Think about that.
Wow. Boy, did you ever. Okay, so we have Caleb Matsuda and
Garnet James.
Garnet James.
Did you name Garnet?
I liked name Garnet.
I think it's kind of cute. I've never heard of the name Garnet before. I like it a lot. Cute. Until you started calling her Jewel, but besides that.
Well, she didn't like that either, and more power to her.
Yeah.
He also tried out Gem at one point.
He did.
One of the not subplots, but one of the through lines is he wants to find a nickname that's just for them. And I think he knocked it out of the park with the first one, but he came up with another good nickname as well. Okay.
Can't wait to find out what it was.
It was Gigi, which is very
I got
cute.
to Gigi. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So Caleb Matsuda is showing up to a coffee appointment with a quasi coworker because he works at the clinic in town. He's a doctor who works at the clinic in town. And Garnet is an acupressure energy healer.
She's a holistic
specialist. And they often team up and refer patients to each other. So the two offices want to have an office party, and they've both volunteered. And Caleb volunteered because he wants to fit in. He's sort of new to town. Mm-hmm. It's been difficult for him to find friends and get out there. And so he's like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to help do a banger of a party for Christmas times. And then I will show up and I will be star of party at Christmas times. And everybody's going to like Caleb. And
it's not a bad plan.
Do it. It's not a bad plan. Yeah. So he shows up to this thing. And Garnet is adorable. Garnet immediately sets his pants on fire. She's got this long, flowing, curly hair that's auburn and hints of red and gold and strawberry blonde and stuff. And she's fit and earthy, and she looks like a person that spends a lot of time outside and being a holistic energy, healthy person.
Freckles.
And she's got those freckles that he loves, and she's got this lush mouth. I'm sure of it.
No, yeah, a wide mouth. In fact, her wide mouth is mentioned at one time twice in one sentence. It's so wide.
Wow. Apparently, she's the Joker.
Her wide mouth is wide twice in a sentence, which really widened it in my imagination to be a little bit grotesque.
I herbs that. I did not notice that. Okay, so he shows up, they get sandwiches, and they sit down to do their preliminary meeting. And she's like, hi, I'm
sorry.
Garnet. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You identified Garnet as a sexy woman, but you did not identify Caleb as a sexy man, which he is.
I don't think I got there yet, because isn't all of chapter 1 from his perspective?
Yeah, but they talk about how he's kind of a city boy, and he dresses up a little too, city-like, and his hair is a little too, combed. And
hey, Erin.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't come at me about how hot I think Caleb Matsuda is, because
why?
He might be number 1 at the end of next year. I don't know.
What? Caleb Matsuda is going to be your number 1 hero? For year 3 or 4, whatever it ends up being, of our podiversary, what will it be? 3 or 4? 4, right?
I think 4, yeah.
Woo! No way to tell.
No way to tell.
No way to predict it.
He's so fucking hot. Just effortlessly virile in a way that
So
Asian men are
confident.
not depicted in
Yeah.
all of media. The one thing that I did like about the fact that like she didn't go too deep into like his half Japanese side is just that I feel like the low-hanging fruit of that would be thinking like maybe he'd have some sort of
Complex.
some sort of hang up, about being like the lowest end of like the male hierarchy.
Yeah, like the
And-
spectrum of, like,
yeah.
yeah.
And man, Caleb is not. Caleb is just like confident as
He's so
fuck.
confident. It's
he
so
is
good.
gonna get you off with whatever appendage he throws at you. I'm just
Whoa,
saying
that's
it.
a weird thing to say. That's such a
I said it.
like, I don't like the idea of just throwing appendages. Do you imagine all heroes with some kind of tentacles and like claspers and grabbers?
I mean, the
Are you
imagination.
in a place? Are you in a place where you can't read a romance novel without additional appendages at this point?
No, I'm just saying that like every time he makes an innuendo, as I like to say, it's always like she's like, "Oh, do you have some skills?" And he's like, "I could show you some skills."
Yeah,
and then
I remember that
when
part.
he's just about to get her off on that gondola, she's like, "We have like half of 13 minutes left," and he's like, "That's definitely enough time."
Yep.
Oh my God, Caleb, get
That
in
gondola
me!
ride is very hot. Okay, all right, they're meeting. Okay, I just didn't want to
No,
only
but you're
describe
right.
Garnet. I want everybody
No.
to know what they both look like.
You're right. No, Caleb.
He also
is
has
hot as fuck.
glasses.
He's
They're
over
very
6
cute.
feet tall.
He's a
He
doctor.
has glasses. He's a doctor.
He wears
He-
designer clothes.
He always wears like he's always a little bit dressed up when he goes to work, especially. So he's always got like a button
Okay.
down
Bing boom
and
bong.
some slacks that just will not quit. She always talks about his ass in
His
those
ass in those
slacks.
slacks.
Oh, just grab it and then bite it. What?
Guys, she talks about how like she's like, oh, he wears too much Gore-Tex and too much Sorel boots. I don't understand. Like, listen, guys, if you're a ski bum in not Alaska, like, let me know. But to me, that just says that he would like to be waterproof. Like, maybe I'm super bougie, but like, maybe it depends on the steeziness of the area where you are at. But she's like making fun of him for wearing Gore-Tex, which I was like, yeah, because he likes being warm and dry.
What's a Gore-Tex?
It's a type of like material, I guess, that they make coats and stuff out of, boots and things, but it's very expensive. When something you're buying has a Gore-Tex layer, it's going to be $1 million.
Oh,
But you have to have a Gore-Tex layer if you want to be dry. I don't understand.
I see what you're saying. Got it.
It's not really a brand. It's not like you're not going to buy a Gore-Tex brand coat, but you're going to go buy like an Arc'teryx coat that has Gore-Tex. If that makes sense.
That makes
sense.
sense,
It's a brand, but it's not a fashion brand. It's a materials brand.
I see.
All of our army shit's made out of Gore-Tex. Like, I just didn't understand. I don't understand. Ladies and gents, if you're from a ski area where you make fun of people that wear Gore-Tex
Are
layers,
you an alpine?
are you a non-flatlander? Are you a slanty-lander? If you're a slanty-lander, tell us, what are your fashions?
Tell us about your Gore-Tex habits, whether you do
Because I just feel like
or you
Sorel
don't.
boots are good boots.
And I don't
That's
know
all.
anything about a Sorel boot, so cool. All right. So they show up. They sit down. They're talking about the party. And she's like, I'm so excited about party. And he's like, kind of grumpers a little bit. He's a little bit nervous. He's a little bit wants to just like eat her mouth a tiny bit.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that the only venue that's left as of this point is the lounge, the peakiest lounge on the highest part of the mountain.
But not for lack of planning. They had planned a place that like flooded or something happened to their original place. They had a good place planned. I just don't want anyone to think that Caleb's bad at planning. He's good at planning. It's
Caleb just walked
happened.
in. He's new in town.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or maybe Garnet's bad at planning. What I'm saying is their place, something happened. So now they're like 5 days out and they need to get a good spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
2 weeks,
and
3
he
weeks, 5
immediately
days. I don't know.
freezes up. No, it's before Hanukkah's, so it's probably 3 weeks out.
Sure.
About.
Okay.
So he freezes up and he's like, we absolutely cannot have it on the peakiest part of the highest mountain. Okay, we can't do that.
Mhm.
I will not have it. And she's like, but the high pine ceilings will be so festive. And he's like,
there's
no,
a dance
absolutely
floor
not.
and the foods.
And so yummy foods.
It looks like a snow globe up there.
That's the one.
He gets sweaty. He gets all clammy and sweaty.
Yeah, and he can't really talk very much. And he's like, what about the Moose Lounge? Which is like their version of a biker bar, I think.
No, the Loose Moose, I think is
the
what
Loose
it's called.
Moose, you're right. Oh my gosh. Xiaomei is obsessed with mooses now. Aaron.
I sent you a moose video.
I have played it for her 25 times.
No way. I'll send you all my moose videos that I have.
Please do, because anytime I pick up my phone, she follows me around going, moose? See moose? See moose?
Yeah, we see mooses all the time up here. I'll take videos of all of them. I'll send them to you. Do you want
obsessed.
Another moose toy like we sent for Ember?
Yeah, she does. She has... Ember was like very apathetic about the moose toy, and Xiaomei has loved it since she was born. I have pictures of her.
Oh, so you still have it. It's still intact. Do you need another one?
I mean, she loves a moose.
All right, I'll find it.
I think she'd prefer it to look like a moose now, but
like a real moose.
My God, yeah. She looked at a picture of just a regular deer the other day, and she was like, moose! And I was like, no, baby, no.
I thought you were gonna say she was deeply disappointed. Like, what is that?
That's not a moose. Okay, so sorry. The Loose Moose is like a biker bar. And so she's like, we absolutely cannot have it at the gritty, your feet stick to the floor bar in town. We cannot do that. And he's like, okay, well then I'm going to call every place in town. And she's like, I've done that. And he is so clammy and he's so upset and he's trying to hold it together. And he's just like, just let me try. And she's like, okay. I mean, I guess she knows the manager at the Alpine ski uppity up at the Peak Lounge, and she knows that he'll let her know if anybody else is interested anyway, so she's not super worried about it. So she lets him do his thing. Look, they're really into each other, but when he leaves, they're not friends.
No.
Because she thinks that he's not believing her and the work that she's doing, and he doesn't want to show his weakness. He
says that her thing is like woo-woo, I think. She says something like, are you like not cool with holistic healing? And he's like, some of it I think has a lot of science behind it, but some of it I think is a little woo-woo.
Oh, yeah. And she's like, nobody disrespect Garnet and her calling, which I get.
Yeah.
I support
Fair
that.
Enough. Yeah.
If I could get an acupressure appointment right now for my shoulders, Jesus Lord, would I?
But this is the one where she says the thing that I thought was very weird. They're meeting to plan a Christmas party. Okay. Everybody's doing his work, her work, meeting, Christmas party. That is what is being planned.
Yeah.
And then halfway through this meeting, she's like, hey, Caleb, would you be more comfortable if it were like a holiday party? Because I do know that you're Jewish. Like, just the way, that it was approached was like very strange. It's like, already he's agreed to plan a Christmas party. He's here planning a Christmas party. Like, you don't need to, like, I don't know. It just seemed there was something, like, icky there.
Okay, so I certainly don't have the authority to speak on this at all.
Neither of us do. It just made my hackles go up.
Absolutely. Listen, I don't know the author. I don't know her background. I don't know anything about that. However, what I liked about this book, because, again, it's not a Hanukkah Times book. It's also not really a Christmas Times book. Because while they have this holiday party, neither of the holidays are on the page at all. They're both just sort of skipped over. Mm-hmm. And so I guess I didn't mind so much that it was a half Jewish hero who is just effortlessly planning this Christmas party for his coworkers. And it wasn't like an issue on the page, because just going off of like Michael's family, for example, they're all Buddhist and like his parents are immigrants. They didn't do Christmas where they're from. But it struck me as a book where you watch multiculturalism happen under the dominant culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it still felt like a real experience, and it didn't feel offensive to me at all. But I know there are a couple of times where she's like, are you okay with I did a Google and it's very like
it's the tone of it. It's not it's not that it was asked. It was just, it's like how it felt of like she was walking on eggshells is the thing that was kind of weird about it. Not that it was asked, because I think she could have addressed it like, hey, why are you so into planning this Christmas party? Or, something like that. Or like, do you think we should have like Hanukkah stuff there too? Or, like in a brainstorming session. But the way that she was like, hey,
right. Caleb, does this
notice.
hurt your soul?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Which anyway. I also think is a perfectly reasonable response to being a minority in a dominant culture. But you're right. The wording and the tone was always like a little bit like, I don't know.
She's trying her best, our Garnet.
She is. Okay, so here's the thing. Should we just tell them about Caleb's background? Because we get most of it now anyway. So Caleb was this extreme skier. He was a backcountry filmmaker. And he was also a top surgeon in Denver. He was like the big kid on campus at every hospital he's ever worked at. He was the best surgeon no matter where he went. And then he was in this backcountry ski film situation. There was a giant avalanche and his hand was crushed between a rock and a tree. And he was stuck there for, we actually don't know how long. He doesn't ever say how long he was there, but he was trapped under feet of snow. It was long, yeah. And at least one of his friends died and 2 others were gravely injured. Mm-hmm. So he's got a lot of PTSD. And the book is set in Montana. He had to leave Denver because at his old hospital, after he had like 17 surgeries and was rehabbing his hand, he was a doctor at that point. He was like an ER doctor or like a general doctor around.
He was a trauma surgeon before.
He was a trauma surgeon before. Yeah. So he couldn't handle everybody looking at him with pity anymore. And so he was like, I need to choose a direction. And he said he could have gone back to New York where his family is from and most of them still live. But he thought to himself, no, I need to pick a place where I can get a lot of exposure therapy, basically. So I'm going to move to small town ski resort, Montana.
And try to find me a girl who doesn't ski.
Yeah. And like, it didn't make a lot of sense. But I think that's because deep down, he was always going to love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's had absolutely zero interest in even going on a bunny hill.
He can't be around the mountain. It makes him very, very nervous. He also has a lot of survivor's guilt.
Yes.
Because they pulled him out first. And maybe if they wouldn't have pulled him out first, he would be the one that was dead. And his friends would be the ones that had a hurt hand.
Yeah. Okay, so then the next thing that happens is we get a bunch of conversations with Garnet and some coworkers who are in books 1 and 2.
Who also, like, survived the avalanche. Avalanche is, like, catalyst for all books, it seems like.
I think so, yeah. Okay, so Garnet's like, hey, what's the scoop on this dude? And they're like, ooh, are you interested in Dr. Doomy? Which is his nickname because he's hot as fuck.
He's hot.
Dr. And he's
Doomy.
So goddamn competent, and apparently he has an ass that won't quit and pecs that are hard as stone or something. And so
Melody very into Caleb.
Love Caleb. So no, honestly, it was just so refreshing to see. Like, it was just really, really nice because it's something we don't see enough, you know? Okay. So then one of the coworkers is like, you have to come to Loose Moose because it's going to be all of like the ski patrollers and I don't want to be alone.
A hockey game, maybe?
I don't know.
There was hockey talk there if there wasn't a game to be watched.
Yeah. So Garnet shows up and then Caleb shows up because he was invited by Zach, I think, his friend. So they start chatting.
Well, Caleb gets there first and then Garnet comes. And everybody else is there, like, in their ski stuff, having just come off the hill. But Garnet arrives. She's not working that day. She does holistic schmur part-time, and she's also ski patrol part-time.
Yes. And she's on the search and rescue team because she is so cool.
I believe that's a volunteer position, though.
Yes.
And then, so she's not working that day. So she shows up in just, like, some jeans. everybody else is skiing and everybody else is talking about hockey. And she sits next to Caleb and she feels she's the only woman there that's not coupled. She's the only person there that knows nothing about hockey. She has no idea what happened on the slopes today. She's not talking. And then all of a sudden she blurts out something about like, of course you guys all like hockey because you're Canadians, which is like treated as a very offensive or like rude thing to say.
All right, because there's a girl who's flirting with Caleb. Marisol is flirting with Caleb and they're talking about hockeys. Yeah, and so she blurts out because she doesn't like that they're flirting, but she also can't understand why.
Yeah, why is she so upset that the hot doctor is flirting with Marisol?
And also, Marisol like reaches over and like touches him to be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that something happened or whatever."
I'm so sorry about avalanche.
No.
No.
I'm so sorry that you and your ex-girlfriend broke up. Let me touch up on you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so then she's like...
That was the thing that she said. I'm sorry. I was just kind of flipping. Yeah. She says she thought that he would be very into holistic treatments because he was part Japanese. That's the other thing she says this night.
She doesn't say that, though.
He thinks she is.
Yeah. She's like, I thought you'd be more into like holistic blah, 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 because, and she sort of trails off and he's like, because I'm part Japanese.
Right.
And then she's like, no, because you refer people to the clinic. Mm-hmm. You told me that you've had a couple of different therapies or something like that.
Right. Then she makes a Canadians comment. She's just not, you guys, she's striking out a lot.
She's
it's not
all over the
going
place.
Well for her. She's very awkward. And then Caleb decides to be a nice bro.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And he puts his arm around her chair. Not around her, but around her chair. To say, Garnet part of group.
Yeah, hey, you're cool here.
Caleb approved Garnet.
Yeah.
And she feels very good about that. And then Marisol kind of backs off because she's like, oh, I guess maybe
Marisol sees something might be going on. She sees the energy of their auras just meshing and doing each other. The auras are doing each other. And so Marisol's like, I'm going to find another man named Lachlan. I'm going to flirt with Lachlan.
Sure. That's probably book 18. Okay, so then everybody, they do pool that night.
They start playing pools, yeah.
And Garnet's very good at pool, like really good at pool. We've gotten hints from Garnet. So Caleb's hang up is avalanche PTSD. Yes. Garnet's hang up is that she loses herself in boyfriends runaway bride style. So Garnet does not know how she likes her eggs, whatever boyfriend she's with.
Correct.
She gets into whatever they're into, and she has no hobbies or interests of her own. Garnet, when she's alone, has no personality. Something that I can really identify with. So she is like very good at pool. We find out that she's good at pool because she dated a guy who had a pool table.
In high school.
Yeah, so she got very good at it so that she could fit in with him. Everybody leaves, and then it's just them for a while.
Right. And so Caleb is like, do you want to play pool? And I think she's like, I'm not putting my hand on your penis or something like that.
She's like, so weird. Well, they say, oh, we're going to play a game. He wants, that's it. He says he wants her to teach him how to be so good at pool.
Yes.
And she's like, it's not like I can spoon you from behind and like, this isn't going to be sexy. Okay.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, I just wanted to know how to play pool
angles
better.
And planning shots.
Yeah.
About calling pockets, maybe?
Spinning
Do you know what a combo
balls?
is?
Yeah.
Let Caleb know.
Yeah, so then she's like, okay, well, we could make a wager. They go back and forth on what the wager is. Finally, they settle on having the party at the place that gives him the PTSD symptoms. Is the wager.
And the reason that happens is because she basically like gives him a look of sympathy when that's even brought up. And he's like, you know what? No, fuck that and fuck you and fuck everyone. This is Caleb's MO. Somebody hints around at his weakness and he's like, Caleb crush weakness. Caleb laugh in the face of weakness. Oh. And it's a lot.
Perfect impression. Spot on.
Thank you.
Okay, wait, but after he says he just wants to play pool. Like, she's like, I can't spoon you or whatever. And he's like, I just don't want to go home. I want to learn about pool. And she's like, okay, but it seemed like we were kind of flirting earlier a little bit when we talked about the thing. And then you put your arm around my chair. And he's like, well, I thought you needed a save from how fucking terribly awkward you were in that conversation. And she was like, oh, okay. And also like that you were flirting with me maybe. And he's like, I just want to play pool, Garnet. And she's like, okay. But then when they do play the pool,
he does a big flirt.
Very, very flirty. I can see how Garnet very confused by his signals.
Yeah, but the other thing I really, really like about this book is that it's two fucking grown-ups just looking at problems head on and talking about them.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice because this is right, like before any of this happens, she calls him on the woo-woo shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean it like that. It was insulting and unprofessional. We might not totally align ideologically, but like, can we still play pool? ?
Yeah.
And so every time one of them has a worry or anything like that, they just immediately talk about it. And it's really fucking nice.
It's really refreshing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she gets to the point where she's obviously going to win. But then she's like, oh, God, I don't want to win and force this guy who clearly has PTSD to go up to this plate. You know, it's like, oh, God. And at some point he says, hey, Garnet, if you're going to win. Like, just win.
Yeah.
Which sexiest words have never been said. When a man tells you to win.
Oh, I am into it. But also, he's like putting his booty up on the table or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, but then she does the shot. She does the winning shot. Yeah.
Wait.
No,
but before this, real quick, I just have to read one passage. God damn it. So, because I love their inner monologues are so sexy the whole time, even when the sex isn't happening. So she's lining up a shot, not a winning shot. Okay, so she's like, pool shark lesson number 1, patience. With his cue resting on the edge of the table and his unscarred hand displayed on the wood, his forearm muscles stood out in impressive relief. He rolled up his sleeves before his turn. Something about a turned-up cuff made Garnet's knees shaky.
All of us, Garnet.
Like at the coffee shop, he was a little overdressed, but he sure as hell wore it well. Crisp cotton over broad shoulders, his dress pants advertised the fact that he had an ass that didn't quit. He coughed. Is lesson number 2 to stare at your opponent and throw off his technique? And she's like, oh, I'm so awkward. It's really cute. And this is when he starts calling her Sharky.
But then she lines up the shot. He's like, tell me what you're doing. And she's like, I'm going to put a schmur spin on it.
I'm going to put English on it. I'm going to put English on it.
It's going to smurf off the flarb at an angle. And it's going to go in the pocket. And then he
says, damn, it's so hot when you get technical like that. A sheer sexual growl roughened his voice. She jolted, screwing up her aim. The cue ball spun too hard, sending the purple 4-ball careening off the rail. Mm-hmm. And she goes, you did that on purpose. And he smirked. And she goes, literally dirty pool, Dr. Mitsuda? And he like lifts a shoulder.
Hot. Then when she goes to do again, she goes, if you talk during my shot this time, I will kill you. And then he goes, kiss me. And she's like, kill you. And he's like, but you're under mistletoes.
Yeah. And then she fucks up her shot and loses.
But he still says, let's just do it at the Peak Lodge. That's clearly the better venue. Let's just do it. But he does take his left hand and he does brush a thumb over her cheekbone.
He's always brushing up on her. God damn.
Yeah, it's so good. And she is like, you have calluses on your hands. Are you left-handed? Which is really, really sexy stuff, Garnet.
Good job, Garnet.
He's like, no, I have to use my left hand for most things because of avalanche. And then that is the end of that sexy maneuver.
Yeah, but like throughout this whole book, he's always brushing a finger over her bottom lip or like brushing a finger down her jawbone.
Love a trace, love a brush, love a bottom lip, love a jawbone, love a cheekbone.
Yeah, love it. So now he goes to kiss her. He glances up at the mistletoe again. And she goes, not a good idea. And he says, not good or not smart. He hitched a hip. Oh, God, I love it. He's hitching hips every which way all the time over this thing.
He's always leaning a hip.
Ooh, he hitched a hip on the table a few inches from her, Holy crackers, he smelled fantastic.
I knew you were going to pick up on holy crackers. He smelled fantastic. I read that line and I was like, if Melody does not read that out loud, I will donate $1 million to, I don't know, something that only Melody likes.
Okay, clean, a little warm, a little spicy, warm, lickable, entirely good, but entirely wrong. Not smart.
Okay. So then the next meeting that they do another planning meeting.
Yeah.
At 4:00 at night at a coffee shop. And he arrives and he has a migraine because one time during the day he thought about a mountain. And then he was like, oh God. Right? I'm not laughing at PTSD. I'm laughing at how ridiculous PTSD can be.
Yeah.
He thought about a mountain and then it fucked his whole day up. Yeah. Which really sucks because he does live at mountain. So it's pretty hard for him. So he goes to meet her. She can tell that he's not feeling good. So she says, why don't we go to my office? I will give you a holistic massage. I will treat your headache. And then we can go to the tree lighting afterwards.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to go to the tree lighting with me? It's always a thing.
Where nothing will get done for the Christmas planning party.
Correct.
However, a lot will get done between me and you.
But she will touch up on him, you know?
She does. She goes and touches up on him. It does feel good. She makes him smell an essential oil, which I wasn't happy about. But then she does
just a big relax. That's just
I just feel like don't put stuff in front of my nose. I used to do this as a yoga teacher. I used to like do the rub and the... Now I'm just like, don't make me smell things. I choose what I smell.
Fair
enough.
I
make smell choices for myself.
Oh my God. Can I tell you a really quick story?
You can.
Okay. So Ember went out today with Michael to the shop because nobody was there. Michael was just like doing back work or whatever. And they had to go into a deserted hallway to check if a package was there or something. And Ember let out this insane fart. And Michael was like, oh my God, Ember, was that you? And Ember was like, yeah. And then, I shit you not, a detector went off.
No.
Like a detector that does not detect farts started beeping because my child was so rank that it was like, gases, imminent, beep, 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 beep.
One time, we have this big air filter in the bedroom, and one time a dog farted, and the air filter started going, it went from not like sensing anything wrong to like red alert, DEFCON most extreme air filter situation. It was pretty great.
Yeah. Anyway, sometimes you cannot choose what you smell, Erin. Okay.
No, I know that. Here's what, I don't mind going into a place and there's like an oil thing going. She just like takes the lid off a thing and like puts it under his nose. I hate it when people do that. I hate it when people are like, smell this and like put it in front of you. I hate that.
I hear you.
That's all.
She does a big pressure up on him. She does a massage. She does a scalp and a scalp and a face and a shoulder and a neck. And I was so attracted to Garnet this whole book because I was about to say
Caleb's going to be your number one. Garnet's going to be your number one.
Oh my God. Yeah. And then he's sitting there and he's feeling relaxed and good and like into it. And so he leans in to kiss her and she's also into it. But then she backs up really quickly and she's like, oh, this is my place of work. This is my treatment room. Ha. And he's like, oh, yep, totally.
Yes.
So then they show up at the tree lighting and it's a couple thing.
Yeah, everybody's there with couples.
And then she does a big handhold.
Well, because he gets nervous about something because maybe somebody says the word snow or like, here's the thing it's just funny to me that he's got such a hair trigger for his PTSD and they are all mountain related. And I don't know if this was therapeutically recommended in any way that he go live in Mountain Town, but it just seems like a bad idea in this juncture of his recovery. And of course, it's a romance novel, so it works out great. But it just seems like every time he's like, oh God, a snowflake, and then he like loses his shit. It's like, well, you're in a place where there's lots of snowflakes, Caleb. Maybe Miami or something for like a little bit, you know?
I know. That's what I would have done, honestly.
I forget what it is. Something sets him off though, and that's when she holds his hand. It's a big comfort.
It might have actually been talking about skiing or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then she's looking at him and she misses the tree lighting. She's like, oh no, I missed it. And he's like, I'm so sorry that I did that to you. She's like, nah, I've seen this every year for my whole life, so it's kind of okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it was. They tell Zach that they're going up to the Peaky Lounge on the uppitiest part of the mountain. And he's like, I'm just not going to go, basically. Right. So she's like, what are you going to do? And he's like, I'll help you plan the party and then I won't go.
She suggests that he practice going by going halfway up the mountain with her on a chairlift to have lunch at the snack bar. Mm-hmm. And then maybe later practicing on the gondola going all the way up the mountain. I know PTSD is not logical. I just feel like chairlift is much scarier than gondola, regardless of height of mountain.
Chairlift is going to be scarier, yeah.
But they decide to go have lunch together the next day or a couple days later and take the chairlift up to the snack bar, which is at the halfway mark.
And he does that because his friend Zach is like, wait a second, you are thinking of going halfway up a mountain? And he's like, yeah. Fuck you, Zach.
Fuck you,
I'm going to take a chairlift too. Oh.
Yeah.
So then he says it's a date.
Yeah.
No.
So they go, she's in her ski patrol stuff.
Ooh.
And she brings him to the front of the line. He's in jeans and boots. And everybody else is skiing.
He doesn't realize that he had been admiring her effortless ski technique on the way down because he didn't know it was her. And then she comes up to him and she's like, oh, hello, I'm here now. And I thought I would take a chairlift with you. And he's like, I thought Hot Lady was going to meet me up so that she wouldn't see me be scared. And then she takes me to the front of the line and he's like, I was going to use line to mentally prepare, but here I am on the chairlift.
God, that chairlift just hits his knees, and I really thought he was going to fall flat on his face on that chairlift.
I'm glad he didn't.
He gets on, he pulls, I don't remember if it's him or her that pulls the bar down, but they're not alone. They're not alone on the lift, and the other skiers on the lift are eye roll, this guy's pulling the bar down,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she mom arms him back. He's gonna fall, and she thumps him back into the chair. Yes. It was hot.
It was hot. Garnet's a goddamn hero. She's just so sexy.
She holds his hand on the ski lift.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
They go to the snack bar, and then it's kind of on after the snack. I don't know. And he gets very forward at snack bar, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because this is where he holds both of their things in one hand and then just schnorfels her whole face with the other hand. You know what I'm talking about?
What?
Okay, you know how I try at snack bar, you have...
Normally I understand your shorthand, but now I do not.
No, listen, hey. No, you know how at a snack bar, you got
trays.
Trays, yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's got his tray. And he might have also her tray. And then he balances everything on one arm. Oh, and then he uses his other hand to schnorfel her face. And I remember being like, this is a lot of coordination, doctor. Are you sure that you can't do surgeries with that hand?
Right? Well, I think he's holding the trays with his healthy hand. And then he's schnorfeling her with
I can't schnorfel a face with an injured hand. Either way, it's impressive. Fair. I just feel like these are skills. Listen, he may have an injured hand, but it is more dexterous than my non-injured hand, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Oh, I got it. Okay. So she's like, your money's no good here. And he says, all right, I'll get the next one. And it says the next one, warmth edged her ears, feeling optimistic. And he goes, should I be? Her tray tipped a little. Blur, 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 blur. And then it says, holding his tray one-handed, he brushed a thumb across her cheek. His hungry gaze dipped from her lips down her body.
I just found it very impressive. That's all.
Yeah.
So after the optimistic thing, she says, I don't know. He says, I do. He said, this is it. Putting the food on both their trays and guiding her toward the register. So he takes her food, puts it on his tray. He's still got it one arm. He's like, but I'm not in a hurry.
Yeah. So she's like, I don't know if you should be optimistic. And he's like, I do. But I can wait to get in your pants until it's time. Ooh, Caleb!
Hot stuff.
I would be a puddle on the floor if Caleb were in front of me. I'm sorry. That's what would happen.
They make small talk and they make confessions about their past. She talks about how she wasn't ever impressive enough for her parents, which is a storyline I'm very tired of in romance novels. Of I chose chose career that wasn't what parents' career wanted. It's like, listen, author who wrote this book, you're very good. This is not your fault. I'm not trying to shit on this author. I'm just personally tired of this one as being like a hang up thing. Like, guys,
fair enough. And he's like, my parents were kind of awesome. They just wanted us to succeed. They didn't care how we did it. And it's great.
So then she's got to go get batteries for her radio in a small ski shack.
Yeah.
So she goes to the small ski shack. And once they get inside it, he gets PTSD again.
Little bit.
He's sweaty because he does see a sled in there that is the kind of sled that you use to take somebody down the mountain when they're injured. And it reminds him of the time that he was in the avalanche. And so he gets freaked out and she snurfles up on him to comfort him. And then they do a big makeout in that shed.
Boy, do they do a big makeout in that shack to the point that, like, he's thinking about tossing her up on the rickety table and seeing what it can take.
Yeah. One of them says, like, oh, I wish there was mistletoe here so I have the pretense to kiss you. And then the other one's like, no pretense needed.
And it's a big hot.
So
then they break apart after this, like, just panty melting kiss.
In this book, I do not understand why they do not have sex every time they should have sex. I don't understand why they're not doing it in this shed. I don't get why they don't go all the way in the gondola. I don't get why they don't do it on Hanukkah times. Every time they're like, no, wait, it makes no sense to me. Do it.
Well, it does make sense this time because she has to go back to work.
No, it does. How long does it know? She just took so much time for her lunch break to help a man who was in an avalanche go up a schmur and then have lunch with him. If she takes another 15 minutes to get back to work and they're like, where were you, James? And she's like, oh, yeah, I was helping PTSD avalanche man get over his PTSD.
With my vagina.
He freaked out in the shed over there, and I was helping him get over his PTSD, which
with my vagina.
True. She doesn't have to say that part.
Listen, I understand
one would blink an eye, and you know who would be happy? Melody and Aaron.
Well, that's
and also
true.
Caleb and Garnet.
That's true.
Everyone happy.
However, there is another point in the gondola where he's like about to put his finger on her clit, and he's like, I should have waited until I had you in my bed, because I think they sort of want their first time to like not be lame or inconvenient, or like, you know, first times with a person are already a lot of you know,
I get it.
Negotiations.
But you know what's a really hot
how do you
first
like
time?
It?
Ski shed.
Fair.
That's a great first time. You know what else is a really hot first time? Gondola.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they basically do have a first time because she comes like a geyser, you know?
Listen. My wedding involved a gondola. Maybe I'm a little bit too romantic about all the ski shit. I don't know. But I just felt like they should have gone all the way every time they had the opportunity. Like,
I hear you.
Every time they were like, no, wait, we must come up for air. I did not understand why. That's all.
But also, this is not an erotic romance. We see basically the first sexy times, and then the rest of it is all like, then they went and had a sexy shower. And then they went and all the way in the bed this time. Or like, he got to see her back tattoo again. And like, it's never explicit again, you know?
I can't wait for one of us to write a book. And then he saw her back tattoo again. And then they did it in the shower, comma, sexy times in the shower, comma, came like a geyser.
Comma, was not inconvenient because in shower.
Comma, you bet.
All right.
Holy cats. So... what a great sex.
Okay.
All right, we got to get cooking. We're an hour in.
We do. Okay. Well, I mean, you know, the last part is going to be me just telling it to you, so it shouldn't take that long.
Can't wait.
All right. So then he goes back down the mountain, and then maybe they don't see each other for a little while.
He invites her to Hanukkah dinner.
That's the one.
So, and that's what you're like, okay, here it goes. Now we're going to really Hanukkah this shit up.
Hanukkah. Because earlier he had a conversation with his mom where she was like, yeah, I'm prepping everything for dinner. And like, I know you can't come out for now, but I really want you to be with people on Hanukkah if you can. So like, I don't care who you invite over, but invite people over. Do not spend Hanukkah alone.
She knows that her son's having some trouble meeting friends.
Yeah, because all of his ways to make friends, he now doesn't have access to. And so a lot of this book is not only his PTSD, but it's also him navigating how to be basically a brand new person. Because while he sort of misses skiing, he knows that he's never going to be like the thrill seeker, risk taker that he was. And he always gravitated toward those people and like very active people. And now he's like, you know, I don't want to put myself in that position again. And so it's tough to make new friends. Okay. Is he sort of rewriting his whole personality and all of his habits?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So she's like, hey, do you want to come to trivia at the Loose Moose? And he's like, I gotta work, but I'll make it up to you. How about Hanukkah dinner? And she's like, yes. So Hanukkah rolls around and everybody, like 2/3 of the people who were invited to the dinner are late because there has been a rescue. And Zach, the leader of the rescue squad, is like, Garnet, I don't know, is going to be extra late.
She had to go up. She got hung up on the glacier somehow, and then her phone died, and
because she's on the ropes team, she does like all the ice climbing to get the people out. And so this is how he learns that she's on the search and rescue team. He didn't know that before.
Mm-hmm.
She's late because she actually goes home to shower and change and then come over to his house. What's up?
Nothing. I just can't wait to find out more about how this book goes.
What? You got to the 6. You got to 53%.
I know. Was she on his search and rescue team?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought that might have come out later in the book, you know?
No, because she's constantly learning things about this avalanche. No, you know what it was? It was in Canada somewhere.
Oh, it wasn't here?
Mm-mm.
How come all avalanche survivors happen to be here in Montana then?
Well, because Zach, I think, was part of the team / I don't know. He was part of the team or the rescue squad there. Mm-hmm. I can't remember.
And Caleb knew him, and that's why. Okay. Got it. Okay.
And so Zach moved to Montana. Caleb needed a direction. Zach was like, Montana, great. Also have mountain exposure therapy.
Sure.
And Caleb was like, can't wait. Be there with bells on.
Wonderful.
All right. So Garnet shows up, and he goes to answer the door, and he goes outside in just his beautiful, I don't know, short sleeves and
he goes outside in the clothes he's wearing. You guys, Melody is so into this guy. He's wearing clothes on his body, and he wears them outside.
And so she shows up and she's like, this is when she's like, I brought wine, but also I can go put it back in my car if that's offensive because I did a Google and apparently you're not supposed to bring things to people's houses on Hanukkah because you're not supposed to get presents for the host. And so I don't really know what to do, but I also felt weird coming empty-handed. And he's like, Garnet. Thank you for the thought. I'm not observant. You're adorable. Can we please make out? And she's like, yes. So they do a hotty-toddy makeout.
Some hot makeout. But then they're like, we've got to get into the house or our friends will know.
Yeah, he's like, everybody's going to know what we're up to. And she gets this really sort of devastated look on her face. And she's like, oh, I wasn't really worried about that. And he's like, oh, good. I'm not either. Make out some more. And then Zach pokes his head out and he's like, lamb smells great in here, or whatever.
No, the things on the quiche things are dinging. Ding, 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 we're done.
Ding.
Yeah, listen. Hey, guys, if you're at somebody's house and they're outside making out with somebody and the thing dings on the oven.
Get the quiches out.
Get the shit out of the oven.
Just leave them to make out,
hey,
man.
Don't be a cock blocker, asshole.
Yeah.
Zach?
Yeah. Or a cunt blocker.
You know where a potholder is?
Jesus.
Yeah. Anyways, so he has to go back in and get those quiche boys out of the oven.
That's the one.
And then they really skip over the whole Hanukkah portion
of Hanukkah's over now.
Of the dinner.
None of more Hanukkah happens. No candle lighting. There wasn't a gift exchanged. There wasn't a nothing.
Not a dreidel in sight, you guys.
No. The word dreidel is in this, though, because she says, I did a Google.
I Googled dreidels.
And he's like, did dreidels come up? And she's like, yes.
They did.
Yeah.
So then after Hanukkah times, everybody's going to leave. And then one of her coworkers is like, are you okay to be here alone with Caleb?
Right.
And she's like, yeah, I like Caleb. I'm going to fuck him later.
Caleb, great. Big fan Caleb.
And that coworker's like, Caleb has a lot of trauma and PTSD, and I don't know if he's ready for a relationship, and I don't think the two of you are a good fit. And she's like, fuck you. Get out of my sight.
Thank you, Garnet. Good job.
Yeah.
Because fuck you, Zach.
Wait, was that Zach?
It was totally Zach. So
no.
It absolutely was. All right. So then everybody leaves. She's doing the dishes. And then Caleb does the hottest thing anybody can do when you're doing the dishes. And that is he comes up and he cages her in with his goddamn arms on the counter. And then he leans down and he does a big nibble on her neck. And he's like, oh, I'm so glad you stayed over. We should make out some more. And she's like, you're the hottest man I've ever seen in my life. What was it, Zach?
It was Zach.
Whoa, Melody read book. How did she know?
I thought it was Lachlan.
No, Lachlan doesn't know them like that.
Well, it sounded like somebody who didn't really know them like that, to be honest with you.
You know what? You've got a good point.
Okay.
All right. But then.
So then they stop.
I don't remember why they don't do it.
That's the thing.
I don't remember.
They kind of, then they're like, oh, what? He gets into her hair and he's like, what are your intentions with me? No, but it's similar. No, he snurfles into her hair and he's like, what are we doing here?
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, I don't know what we're doing here. Should we talk about it? And then they're like, yeah, let's talk about it. And then they have wine and talk about it. And she reveals.
And it's a great talk.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, he says that his ex-girlfriend, after the avalanche, she was like a very extreme sports person. Yes.
I'm so sorry. It's just that, oh God, he's so cute. They're about to start the talk, and he says, before we get into the nitty-gritty, I want you to know, the corner of his mouth tugged up, you make me smile. And I haven't smiling. Oh my God, what a swoon this man is! He's a big giant swoon! All right.
Listener, if you hear some stinky, stinky, wet mouth sounds on my end of the recording, that is Rooster.
Yeah, that's Rooster the dog.
She's gone back to bed. Okay.
She's a medium dog and a dog medium.
She is both a medium dog and a dog medium. She is the inventor of Bitcoin. She is the CEO of Rooster Sports, Rooster Fantasies, several other small independent businesses.
We only talk about Rooster's fantasies on Patreon.
Yes.
Do not mention that here.
I'm sorry. She does own some condos in Wisconsin, but she had to give them up when she filed for bankruptcy, which happened in 2015 when she lost her email password.
Is she still trying to sell all your Tupperwares?
She was having Tupperware parties. You guys, this is not a lie. This is 100% true. I came home one day and all of my Tupperwares were all spread all over the living room and the dining room. And I said to my husband, what's up with all the Tupperwares? And he said, I was going to ask you the same thing. And then he said, oh, Rooster's having a Tupperware party. She's selling all your Tupperwares because all she needs to get out of her bankruptcy is $6. And she's trying to make $6. So she was trying to sell my Tupperware.
And I will say, Chickaloo Kate has come up with a wonderful Bitcoin button on her Heaving Bosoms merch site. I would encourage you to buy some Bitcoin merch. I will, however, say that Rooster gets not a single dollar.
Yeah, none of it will go to Rooster. No.
She's not responsible enough, and if she wants those $6, she needs to hustle it on her own.
What's she gonna do? She doesn't have pockets. She doesn't have a bank account. I don't know what she'd do with $6 if I gave it to her. And she only accepts Bitcoin, which doesn't exist. So I don't know what she wants. Anyway, if you do hear those mouth sounds, those are from my stinky old dog Rooster. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
What were we doing?
So please go back to their inner struggles.
So they have this conversation. He talks about how his ex-girlfriend after the avalanche broke up with him because she was very into these extreme sports and he kind of couldn't stomach that anymore. And that drove a wedge between them and they broke up. She talks about how her most recent boyfriend, who was in some kind of like a snazzy master's program.
Right. Same with her.
Yeah. Didn't like her being on the ski patrol because it was interfering with like various events and things that he wanted her to be at, and she was taking time away from him.
Snob. He was like, "Oh, I don't want to tell my parents that you're basically a ski bum." And she was like, "Wait a second."
He didn't like how super steezy she was and how she would go up and, shred NARS and things.
All those. Yeah.
Yeah, that's ski stuff.
Cool.
He didn't like it. It was she shredded too hard for him. So they realize that's kind of the same thing with them because he can't really stomach the extreme sports and he doesn't like hearing about her search and rescue and ski patrol activities, and she's not going to give that stuff up.
Yeah. And so she's like, maybe I should head home after all. And he says, no, just because we don't have everything in common doesn't invalidate what we do have. And she says, which is? And he says, a draw, Garnet, that indefinable thing that makes you want more of a person. You're a package of mysteries, and something's pulling me to discover what's hidden underneath your well of energy and beautiful smile. Caleb. Caleb.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they do more of a makeout, and then I think they fall asleep on the couch together.
Yeah, like they come up for air. They're like having a hot makeout. And then she like comes up out of the makeout, and then she just like snuggles under his chin and just like falls asleep. And I'm like, no, what? No, I don't understand. We all agreed that he doesn't need to be a skier to have sex with you. So have sex with him. Like, I don't.
Okay, but I will say that he's already trying to like fit himself into her mold because he's like, maybe I could recertify for search and rescue and be like on the back end of it, like be a radio guy or something.
Sure.
And she says, you don't need to recert for SAR or want to go into the backcountry, but I'd really like to be able to take some turns with you now and again. On the boring old blue groomers, nary an unstable slope in sight. And so he sort of like croaks maybe. And then she says, friends is okay too. And he says dregs of arousal still lingered from having her body pressed to him, disagreeing with her. No, Garnet, I'm not sure it is. So anyway, at the end of this, the next morning they wake up because I think
3 a.m. they wake up. Yeah.
Yeah. Does she go home though?
Yeah, she goes home, but she says, let's go skiing on Sunday.
No, he says, let's go skiing.
Oh,
because he's trying to prove to her, I can be a ski boy sometimes. I can do a tiny ski.
I can do a small blue square ski hill.
Yeah.
With you.
So then the next time they meet up, they go do a big ski. And by like midday, he's on double black diamonds again.
Yeah, he's fine.
What the fuck? Everybody?
No, listen, no, I don't think you understand, Melody, how therapy and professional help is nothing in the face of a magical vagina.
Not in the face of Garnet's pheromones. Holy wow.
Because every time he even gets a little bit nervous this whole day, thinking about the gondola a week ago at their very first meeting made him fully shut down. Yep. Now he can totally go up to the top of the mountain on the gondola as long as she's snurfling him. It's nuts.
And all it takes is like a hand brush and a kiss on the cheek and like a booty shake, you know? Like she does a little koi fish. A little clownfish up on him. What's a koi fish?
Do they even do that? No, they're not near anemones.
No, it's a clownfish. I just couldn't think of the word. But also, they do a lot of like, tell me 5 things that you can see and 4 things that you can smell.
That is true. And that is a real thing. That's a great way to get yourself out of an anxiety attack or a PTSD episode. But it was a little bit, it was a lot. It was a little bit.
Yeah.
It was a little bit and a lot. It was a little bit.
I wish that he had gone like the Bunny Hill day 1 and then 6 months later he was on the double black diamonds.
I wish the epilogue was double black diamonds, you know?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. You would hate this epilogue. Boy, would you. Hate it.
Well, and that's why I didn't finish book.
You are wise, Erin. You are eminently wise.
Wise beyond my years.
All right. So they're like talking about dinner or whatever. And they're like, oh my gosh, we're so sore from all the moguls that we just slashed. that we're gonna go. What? That's what they don't you
the way you
do
said
that to
it was
moguls?
So funny.
Do you carve them up?
Those are those little hilly boys.
Yeah, but it's like on a 90 degree, on like a 75 degree angle they were going down and mogling.
Yeah, these guys are slanty-landers.
They are. They're hardcore slanty-landers. Okay, so then she's so flustered by the time they get like to the parking lot or whatever that she's like, okay, come to my house, I guess. Because they'd been saying they really need a hot tub, and Caleb has a hot tub, but she's so flustered that she invites him over to her house. So he shows up at her house and he's like, I don't even know if this bitch wants me here. I want to be here, but like, I don't know. It was really weird. So she shows up at the door and we find out the reason is because she's never had a guy at this place. Because she's been doing the whole like, I'm going to get to know Garnet. I'm going to find out what Garnet loves and what's important to Garnet. Yeah. So then they do an adorable dinner and then they roast a s'more at the fireplace. And then it is on TM. And it's a hot.
It's good. He gets her right in the vagina and she loves it.
Doesn't he though?
He got her right where it counted.
Boy, did he. Yeah, she asked him to touch up on her clit, and he's like, my absolute pleasure. And then it's geyser time, everybody.
We totally missed gondola times. When they came back down on the gondola.
That's why she was so flustered.
Yeah, when they came back down on that gondola, she, like, got her friend to get them one that was just them.
Yeah.
They got it on in that gondola a little bit.
Then
he really teased her.
The fuck out of her.
He kind of makes her beg for it, which is kind of hot.
It's a big consent boner because he's like touching up on her and then he goes down to her waistband and he's like, do you want anything else from me? And she's like, yes, I need you to touch me immediately. And he was like, oh, would you like that? And she's like, please. And so then he does put his fingers all up on her. Oi.
At one point she says, I need you an inch lower. And he goes exactly an inch lower, which is like not quite on the money.
Which is like not and she's on like, her clit.
Damn your surgical precision. Like, I cannot with you right now.
Ooh, it's great.
Also during the sex, you know how we feel about scar touching and scar licking here on the Heaving Bosoms podcast.
Correct.
She does like do a bunch of hand touching, but she's not tracing his scars. She's just not caring about his scars. Which is, guys, that's the way to deal with scars. Don't listen. Breast cancer survivor and the Beast has scarred me as much as it scarred them. No scar licking.
Just treat them like they're a part of the body.
The end.
Yeah, and he's like, she's just tracing my whole hand, going over the scars, and then not. If they're in her path.
Hand tracing also, very hot.
Oh,
do a hand tracing. Yeah, hand tracing.
Boy. All right. I will say that it says, I don't know, they're like giggling about something while they're making out or whatever. And then he circles his hips, grinding into her, and she whimpers. And then he says, I will always take getting you off very seriously. And she goes, a promise? And he says, a damned vow, Garnet. Oh, boy. Okay, and now it is melody only, and it's gonna get rough from here, but we're gonna do it. Okay, so Caleb wakes up cocooned in Garnet's cozy bed, and they're face to face because they are a new
read
couple.
Us the rest of the book.
Don't be a dick nose.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so he comes out, she gets an SAR call. He's got like warning bells going off in his brain, but he's like, this is a me problem. This is not a her problem. And so I'm not going to burden her with this, essentially. They do a little bit of talking about when he broke up with his last girlfriend. And it was like 2 months after the avalanche. She was like, why won't you go up to the tippity toppest of the mountain with me? And he's like, my hand is still crushed.
She sounds great.
Yeah, no, it's fine. They wanted different things. He wanted to recover, and she wanted to still not have her life change.
He wanted to recover from a very insane physical and emotional and mental injury. And she wanted to go skiing.
Yeah. And so she is like on high alert for anybody trying to change her life in any way. And so she goes, I need to know that you can handle my patrolling and my rescue work. And he's like, I used to be on SAR. Like, I'm totally cool. And she's like, really? And he says, listen, I'll let you know if there's anything that we need to like renegotiate. But until then, I think we just go about our lives business as usual, except together sometimes, essentially. And she's like, okay. And then they have off the page shower sex. Okay. So then it's the morning of the party. And he is on call the night before. And so they were supposed to spend the whole day organizing things and putting decorations up or whatever. And he's basically like, ugh, I did a whole big overnight and yuck. So she brings him some of the pie that she did for her Christmas, like, you know.
They've been talking a lot about pie, I recall.
Yeah. She did a rough run. Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
Where you make a pie as practice for the one you're going to make for
trial
the
run?
Holiday? Sure. She does.
I mean, I don't know if there's a word for that specifically for pies. It seems like it would be weird if there were.
I'm going to go with rough run. Every time
if there was
I
a
do
word
a
for that
pie,
for pies, waitress would have told us about it.
Fair. However, I will say that I am never organized enough to do a rough run for any baking situation I do. I just go by the seat of my pants and hope it doesn't burn. That's
I can't
what
even
I do.
read the whole book for the podcast I'm on.
So she gets there, and they had sort of had this weird thing the night before because they were supposed to hang out, but she was on a search and rescue situation that went long. And then he got to her house at like 9 o'clock, found out that she tweaked her knee carrying a gurney over a gully or something like that.
Those gurney gullies.
That's the one. And then he got called into the hospital, and she's like, oh, it seemed like he had a really weird angry face on when he found out about my search and rescue situation, and they never talked about it. So then she does the thing that I have been guilty of 10,000 times in my life, which is the next time you see the person, no matter the fact that it's like the wrong time to talk about it, because he has done an all-nighter. She's been stewing on it since last night. And so he's got his pie and his coffee. He's dead on his feet. They get into the car and she's like, no, I think we really need to talk about this search and rescue situation, and we're going to talk about it until we're done. And he's like, no, we're not. And so he says stupid things like, I just don't want you to be the one. Like, he gets sarcastic and he's like, you could be the one that needs the search and rescue or shmur. It's not like that, but you know.
Sure.
And then he falls asleep in the middle of the fight on the way home.
Yeah, I have bing boom bong. I have some relationship advice for our HBs. Hey,
Ooh,
listener.
Let's do it.
Listen, unorthodox as it is, go to bed angry.
Go to bed angry.
Try it.
Yes.
It's great.
Do
Wake
it.
up forgetting why you were angry. It's incredible. It does so much for relationship. Go to bed angry. Your anger may keep you up late. It may be hard to go to bed. You may have to go to bed on a couch. But when you wake up in the morning, you'll be less angry.
Yeah. And then you'll be able to have a rational conversation.
Yeah. It's incredible.
No, seriously. That, and I also had to learn, let the person disengage. If they say, I need to go for a walk, you need to let them leave the premises, because otherwise it's bad. Anyway, so she's like, I don't want to be around you anymore at all. I'll see you at 4. And he's like, great. I'll see you at 4 to help you set up for our party. So then he shows up for the party. They do like decorations. They try to talk about it, and they're both just sort of not ready for it, I think. And then during the party, they're all glitz and glam and doing all the business, and it's a great party. Everybody's having a wonderful time, except that he keeps sort of watching her dance around the room because her avoidance mechanism is just to dance all night. And so then Zach is like, hey, looks like there's some trouble in paradise.
Fuck you, Zach.
Yeah, I know, right? You caused some of the trouble.
No one wants
you planted
to read
this
your
seed.
book, Zach.
Well, I think it was number 2, so who knows? Yeah, so then he's like, man, I really need to go and make this up to her. So he starts dancing with her, and they do a big dance. And even though they don't really get a lot done, you know, like they don't get to talk a bunch because Lachlan comes over, the guy who doesn't know them very well. or at least doesn't know Caleb. And he's like, hey, Garnet, are you ready for the rope, the hang off the side of a cliff recertification that we're doing next week? And she's like, yep, can't wait to use my ice picks and really get down there.
Yeah.
And Caleb's like, but he's not saying anything. So then they go home and they do more sex. And this sort of keeps rinsing and repeating throughout the rest of the book. Just like we didn't see any Hanukkah, we also don't see any Christmas because both of them work overnights or whatever.
Sure.
They're both on call. And then she doesn't invite him to her family's dinner. And that's totally off the page. We never see it.
If this epilogue involves kids, I'm going to be pretty pissed.
Okay, I'm just going to skip ahead to like the biggest conflict because I've done this setup for their whole situation.
Sure.
They keep on doing cute things. He brings her an adorable Christmas present. It's 2 bangles. One of them has garnets in it and the other one has like a smoky quartz stone in it because it reminded him of her gray eyes because he's a goddamn dreamboat.
He's a dreamboat.
Yeah, and then he has a PTSD moment there. I can't remember why. But she walks him through that and it's good. And they're like, good to go. Then he's like, I'm having these hard times because his whole thing is I can't handle you being in a situation where like I'm going to get the call that you're in trouble. You know, like there has been an avalanche and like this is the thing. So he's like, is there any way that you could maybe just not be on the front lines all the time? Like if you could just do 30% less of the actual in the field stuff and maybe be, I don't know, the safety officer sometimes. And she's like, hey, that sounds like a really great thing. I can totally do that. So she gets called out on this rescue. The sheriff is like, Garnet, your lead climber person going down into the place where the broken person is. And she's like, actually, I would like to be safety officer this time. I don't feel comfortable climbing. And he's like, how dare you, Garnet? I say you do the thing, and so you should. And she's like, no, I think that I should be safety officer because Madison can go down. And Madison had a baby 5 months ago, but she also just had her recertification for this type of rescue. And she's gung-ho about going down. I think her name is Madison. It could not be. So then on the rescue, there's a big gust of wind. Gust of wind.
Madison flies away.
Madison gets thwacked with the gurney before they even get to the dude and breaks her arm. She gets a big broken arm bone.
Yeah.
And I was going to say femur, but I'm pretty sure that's the leg.
That is a leg.
Humerus. That might also be a leg. Anyway,
Humor.
So then patella. That's
a knee one. I broke that one. Yeah.
Anyway, she breaks an arm bone. And so then Garnet has to go do the rescue of 2 people now. So then Caleb is at the hospital and he finds out about Madison. I think her name is Madison because she comes in.
Sure.
He's like, oh my God. And then he sees her husband come in and he's got this like devastated look on his face. Like, is she going to be okay? Is my baby motherless? Like that whole thing. And he does a big giant freak out, but he pulls himself together. And then Zach comes, consummate problem. Zach comes over. Just constant problem. He comes over and he's like, boy, your girl can climb, Caleb. Boy, she did a big climb and she did all the things. And like, man, she really got in there in the thick of the danger. And so then he does like an extra big freak out. And he goes out into the like herb garden of the hospital.
Oh, yeah. The hospital herb garden.
Right. He's not wearing any kind of coat or anything. And then like soft footsteps come up and Garnet's like, oh, hey. Fancy meeting you here. And he's like, I thought you could be dead. Then she's like, listen, I can shift positions on the search and rescue because she sort of defended herself to the sheriff because he says none of this would have happened if you were down there instead of Madison. And she's like, first of all, I followed protocols because a preoccupied rescuer is not a good rescuer. I didn't think that I was the right person for this job, and I made a perfectly rational decision. that would be the same thing that happened this time, except it would be me with a broken arm and Madison who had to save everybody.
Right.
So, like, shut your fucking mouth, even though she's also, doing the what ifs in her brain.
Sure.
Then she shows up and she's like, Caleb, I basically loves you.
Who wouldn't?
And he's already been like, I loves her totally.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I can switch positions on the search and rescue and I can do more background work and we can like work up to this as you get more used to it. We can renegotiate. We can like keep this on the table, but I can take a big step back. And he's like, I can't be the man who does that to you. And she's like, okay, but I'm telling you that I'm not making this decision for you.
Mm-hmm.
I am making it for me. And I know that because I'm the girl who makes decisions for her partner. And because of her partner, I've learned not to do that. This is a Garnet decision. And he's like, I can't take away something that you love that much. And she goes, but you are at this point telling me that I need to give up something that I love a lot. And that's you dick nose.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm doing a big freak out. I can't even. And he breaks up with her. Mm-hmm. So then she's like, don't come to that wedding that I forgot to tell you and listener about.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you, listener, but she did invite him to that wedding on New Year's Eve.
Boy, was he a +1 at a wedding
he was
that you
a
don't know
+1
about.
for her at that wedding of her coworker that was in a previous book on New Year's
That's
Eve.
the one.
Yeah.
And she's like, come or don't come, whatever. But like, you stay away from me. And she fucks off. Then he has a big talk with his brother. He calls his mom, but his brother answers the Skype. So we find out that his brother is a widower and he lost his husband to cancer. And so they're talking and he's like, all right, you know what I want you to do? Because you're being a dumbass and you love this woman and you want to be with her. I want you to picture her with cancer. Where do you want to be when she has cancer? And he's like, I want to be at her bedside holding her hand. And he's
that's
like,
a rough one.
Yeah.
Widower brother.
Yeah. So brother like really just punches him right in the nards, right in the emotional nards,
Yeah.
So he does the cancer
The
thing and then
nards.
he's like, that's the one. He's like, what about a car accident? Where do you want to be? And he's like, I want to be getting the call. I want to be at the hospital.
Yeah.
Hell, I'll be in the car with her,
Sure.
And then he's like, okay, what about an avalanche? And he's like, no, I want to be I want to be right beside her. I want to be telling her that they are going to get out. And it might feel like cement on your chest right now, but like we're going to get through it together and we're going to get saved. And I would go back into an avalanche to be with this woman. And so he's like, here I go. I'm going to get dressed up for this wedding in a 3-piece motherfucking suit. Yeah, into the avalanche. Okay, 3-piece suit. Goes to wedding. He tries to get a talk going basically during the ceremony. And she's like, hold your nuts, bro. There is a wedding that's happening that we need to watch.
Onto your heart nards for just a second.
And then she gets all soft because he cries at weddings and he looks at her and he's like, weddings are my weakness. And he's so fucking hot doing a big sexy cry at a wedding in his 3-piece suit. Then they go off to the side and she's trying to hold herself back. But they basically end up just like making out against the church wall with everybody right there.
Hot.
But then Lachlan or somebody comes over and they're like, Garnet, there has been a big car accident in this blizzard that I forgot to tell you about that's happening right now. Sure. And we need somebody to climb up and get the 3 people out of the car. And she's like, I'm on it. And then she looks at him and she goes, are you okay? And he's like, yes, I'm going to go to the hospital to be ready to be a big heroic doctor. So then 30 minutes go by and he's on tenterhooks and he's like, can I even deal with this? But when she comes in, she is like on that gurney doing a big contractions and she's doing the ventilator.
Compressions.
That's the one. No, somebody else is doing compressions, but she's doing the ventilator. She's got this sexy look of determination on her face. And he realizes, holy cats, she is destined. She is the perfect combination of skilled and empathetic to be the perfect rescuer. And she's so good at it. And she's so hot because she's so competent. And I can't wait to save the person that she got out of that wreck. It's a granny, if anybody wanted to know. He's about to save a grandmother. And so So he's wheeling this lady out, and he is so hot for her right now. Garnet, not the granny, not the gravely injured granny.
No one thought.
And so he throws over his shoulder, he throws over a big, I love you. Yeah. And then she says back, do you want me to wait? And he can't talk to her because the doors are closing and he's about to help in the OR. He's about to use his surgical knowledge to guide another doctor through stitching this granny back together.
Sure.
But then 5 hours later, she is in the waiting room, and they know that they've basically missed the reception. They could go back and make an appearance, but they're not going to, because he comes out and he's like, you need to be the best you can possibly be, and I'm going to be there with you because you are the best rescuer in the whole wide world, and I love you to pieces, and I just think it's our destinies to be together, and we're going to be on Black Diamonds, and there's a lot of emotional stuff in there too that's really great.
Yeah.
And then they're basically like on top of each other in this waiting room, and then
that's strange.
Comes out. I know.
What happened
this
there?
Nurse squeaks down the hallway in her nurse shoes, just doing her job, just doing her job. And he's like, should we get out of Nurse Ratchet's way and let her go about her business? And she's like, I think not. I think we're too involved in our super emotional sexy pants conversation. And so poor Nurse Ratchet is over there just being like, this is awkward, but I gotta fill out this chart. And they're pouring their hearts out to each other. Then they do sometime go to like maybe a supply closet or something.
So much of this has confused me about the waiting room times.
Me too. And then not because I don't know what happened, but because it happened that way.
Okay. Both for me.
Listen, so they're together forever now, happily ever after. And then the epilogue is they're at a baby shower for somebody else. He is super late because he had a big smarty pants keynote speech to give, and at surgery times. And he also had an quote unquote errand to run. And so he comes in and she is fucking pissed. She's like, what possibly could have taken you that long that you were going to be late to our dear friend's baby shower? Meanwhile, baby's there. Like, baby, it's a post-baby time. She's holding a baby. He says that she has never looked more sexy than cooing at a baby or whatever.
God. I've never looked less sexy than trying to hold a baby.
Okay, and then she's like, what is so important? And he's like, Garnet, can you just chill out? Because I don't want to do it here. And she's like, nothing could be more important than a baby shower, except maybe a wedding. Caleb?
Oh my God.
And then he's like, Garnet, I am not doing this at our dear friend's baby shower. It's their baby shower.
This is why I don't read epilogues. This is ruining the whole book for me.
And then the friend says, no, do it. It's my baby shower. And I say, do it. And so boy, does he get down, and they have a really awkward proposal in which he never super asks the question. And she keeps on being like, Caleb, ask the question. Caleb, ask the question. And then finally he asks the question, and then she doesn't make words. And then she says something like a total non sequitur. And he's like, answer the question. And it's very Caleb and Garnet, and they are engaged now.
At least they're not having kids.
Yet. Oh, I think he asked for 4 kids during that whole thing.
Well, I would like to know in advance who's giving up their career for those kids. Because these two are on call every hour of the day.
Constantly.
And like David and I, we don't want kids, but we could not have kids with our current work setup. Somebody would have to give up their job. And these two are in the same pack where neither of them knows where each other is at any given time.
Right.
And you can't have kids that way. Sorry, guys. I wonder who's going to give up their passion. It's one of them.
It would have to be nanny times or something.
Or they could have a live-in nanny, but I don't. They're expensive.
I don't know if they would do that either.
They're very expensive. Anyway. And I don't think part-time ski patrol pays that much.
Nope.
But maybe.
So there's book. Great job, Melody.
Good job, Melody.
I liked book. I did.
I like book.
I think that there were some things that were
things that were a little squirrely. I didn't like how much she pushed him into confronting his various PTSD issues. I wish I wish it was less of a magical vagina and more of a therapeutically recommended course of treatment to get him through this situation.
There's some therapy like in the background, but it's not. Yeah. So, Aaron, do you have a lady love? Is that what we do now? Now is lady love time, right? Or is now plug time? Is it plug times? Are we getting plugged now?
No, it's lady loves first, you weirdo.
Okay, I don't remember.
I don't remember my lady love.
I have 2 lady loves.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is a little film called Over the Moon. If you want some really, really incredible Asian representation, I need you to go on Disney Plus and watch
the little
Over
girl and like the
Moon.
myth, and she wants to build a rocket ship or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good. All of the characters are Asian, and all of the voice actors are also Asian. So Phillipa Soo is Chang'e, the goddess, and good God, Phillipa Soo from Hamilton.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so it is amazing. Trigger warning for loss of a mother, because it is a Disney movie. And so, boy, is there a tragedy right at the beginning that had me sobbing. Is this beautiful story about a girl mourning the loss of her mother and yet learning to make room for more family and more love and accepting that in the future. And it is so fun. It is beautiful. And my other lady love has got to be a plug for our Patreon, sort of. But that is, you know what feels really good sometimes?
Is this about your song?
Writing a parody song.
No,
is
Bing
really
Boom Bong.
I'm
cutting you off. This will be my lady love. Because Melody wrote this song. If you guys recall, in Thanksgiving Groom 2 weeks ago, there was a heroine who made up songs to Christmas songs that were annoying to the hero, and we made some fun about that during the episode. Yeah. Then Melody you did like a weird musical interlude in the episode.
I wrote that too. Yeah.
That she didn't tell me about. In the middle of the episode, it was just like dingly dingly ding. Jingle bells, this is Melody. I am singing on the episode. And I was like, that's strange when I listened to it. And then also just completely unbeknownst to me, not workshopped with Aaron whatsoever, this Patreon episode comes out with fucking sound effects and shit. It's just Melody singing Oh Holy Night. Wait. Yeah, Oh Holy Night, right?
Yeah.
God, which is my favorite Christmas song, by the way.
I'm sorry, it was not Melody singing. It was Penelope, remember? She got in touch with me. She was really pissed off that we doubted her talents about making up songs on the fly. And she was like, I recorded some of it, including all of my snowy footsteps. There might be a goat noise in there. And she sent it to me, and I published it. So thank you, Penelope.
When that goat, I lost my shit. Like, I nearly peed my pants. There's, in the middle, there's this goat that goes, and then Melody sings, "Was that a bear?" I lost my shit. It made me so happy, and I had no warning that this was even happening, you guys. It came up on my RSS feed just like anybody else. Melody sings Penelope's Schmurfers. And I was like, the fuck is this? Oh, it was so good. Oh, it made my heart sore. We haven't even talked about it. We haven't. I have not even acknowledged to you that this happened, and it was a week ago.
Gosh. Man, it was so much fun.
I'd put up some random Rooster shit on the Patreon if I knew how. I have no idea how the Patreon even fucking works.
Oh, no, Aaron. Oh, yeah, it was so fun. Write a parody song, you guys. Send it out to more than 500 people, and it feels good.
Was that a bear?
A bear. I swear I heard a bear.
So good.
I know karate. I can probs fight a bear.
I can probs fight a bear. I remember now. Oh, it's my favorite Christmas song.
Ooh, it was so fun. It was so fun.
And O Holy Night is the Christmas song that 100% makes me cry every time.
Me too. Me too.
For some reason, I'm a total atheist. And for some reason, Fall on Your Knees makes me cry every single time.
Same.
Do you recall that this book is called Holiday by Candlelight? And it involved neither holidays nor candlelight?
Nope, I did not.
And they're lighting a menorah on the cover. Sorry, I just glimpsed the cover.
It should be ski people on the cover. Or again, a hand coming up out of an avalanche.
How romantic. Just a hand coming out over it. Maybe they could put hearts on it or something. This romance novel. We're on
Erin. We got
Instagram.
We got to get plugged.
Heaving bosoms.
Is my new phrase.
Oh God, is that what it's going to be now? All right, plug us. Plug us up. We're on Instagram at Heaving Bosoms. We're on Twitter at Heaving_bosoms. We've fire tweets, just some real hot takes.
Ooh, yeah.
Let's see what else. At Facebook, we're Heaving Bosoms Podcast. The Facebook group, which includes like 3,000 of your most closest wonderful friends, is the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult. The Patreon is Heaving Bosoms Podcast on Patreon, where you can find bonus books, bonus movies, that song we were talking about, Psycho Stripper, Killing Me Softly, extra Christmas
author interviews,
extra author interview bonuses. Some of our friends have come on. Cole watching True Blood. Just a lot of extra stuff on there.
It's great stuff.
And movies now. Movie times.
And
no,
movies.
I mean movies like of us. Videos. That's what I meant. Videos.
Oh, yeah. And now it's videos of us. You can see our faces and all of the crazy physical stuff we do that you never get to, that we sort of describe to you every once in a while.
But mostly don't. For
That's
example, when Melody just talked about a hand coming out of the snow, she just put her hand on her forehead and then wiggled her fingers, which was very strange. And that's all the places we are. Hey, guys, listen. Hey, the Heaving Bosoms Reading Embrace is about to close. We're going to do a special Heaving Bosoms Reading Embrace episode where we talk about all the winners and what you guys read and how we're going to embrace you. If you complete the Heaving Bosoms Reading Embrace, please email us everything that you read to complete it. This is on the website if you still haven't seen it. And you still have time to do it if you want to.
You do.
Because you can read one book. And if you tell us how it's tangentially related to all the categories, we will mention you in the thing. If you're in the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult, there's like a chart that's being passed around that you can use the chart instead of spreadsheet. Instead of emailing us, that's fine. I'm sure Natalie's got a handle on the chart/spreadsheet.
Oh, yeah.
as well.
Natalie is the business. Hire Natalie, you guys.
Yeah.
Also.
Hire Natalie. We also have merch stores. We have the Chickaloo Kate merch store. We have the Tea Public merch store. We have the Read Black Romance merch design that goes toward Black charities. Hey, get those for your HB in your life for holiday.
Yeah. Let's do it.
You probably are the HB in your life, though, to be honest, if you're listening to this.
Hey, I also have to do a big thank you to everybody who mentions us to your friends. I love, from the bottom of my soul, everybody who rates us on Apple Podcasts. If you don't even want to write anything, just hit the stars. I would suggest 5, but however many you think we deserve is also fine.
However many you think we deserve. 5.
If you want to write a little something, it lifts my spirits every time. And sometimes, you guys, I really need it. So yeah, thank you to everybody who's already done that. And we love you. So
we love you.
Keep being a badass.
And love yourself as much as you love squeezing your heart nards so tight. Is that good?
That's so good. All right. Bye, Erin.
Bye, Mel.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Ah! Lilas! Okay, back to the show.